Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Atlanta Gladiators podcast. My name is Liam Goimer, and I'm the Director of Broadcast and Communications for the team. Today, I'm joined by Mitch Fossier, who was acquired by the Gladiators as a part of a trade with the Maine Mariners this past week. Mitch, welcome to the Atlanta Gladiators podcast, and welcome to the Gladiators.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. So let's dive straight in. What was your initial reaction to the trade that brought you to Atlanta?
Yeah, definitely excitement, a little bittersweet. Had a great time in Portland, great fan base, great friends. Nothing but good things to say about the organization. At the same time, pretty exciting opportunity to be able to come home. I'm obviously from the area, so to be able to be surrounded by family and friends is a pretty unique thing in professional hockey. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really fun year.
Absolutely. And you get to play under Derek Nesbitt, who's a legend in this community and somebody you've known for a long time as well. What can you say about your history with Derek and what's your excitement level to play under him as a first year coach?
Yeah, for sure. That's another element of it that was really exciting to me. Both him and Jeff Pyle, I've known since I was probably 15 years old. So, like I remember playing youth hockey growing up, and Nezzy would come out and kind of help with some things and give me little pointers. So it's funny to see how it's come full circle. Never played against him my first few years of pro when he was still playing, but I've always kept in contact with him and skated with him here and there. So I have a really good relationship with him. I know him and Jeff are great people. So it's definitely exciting and yeah, it's exciting that it's his first year and I get to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And you're an Alpharetta native yourself, and you're talking about your time with youth hockey and your connection with Derek. Were you a Gladiators fan back in the day? Did you go to a couple games or?
Yeah, I did go to a few games back in the game, or sorry, back in the day. We definitely we had the Thrashers back then, so probably a little stronger Thrashers fan, and just being over in Alpharetta, a little bit of ways from Gwinnett. But yeah, no, I went to games growing up here and there, and yeah, it's funny to see how it's come full circle.
For sure. And let's rewind real quick to your college days at the University of Maine. What was it like to be part of such an established, of course, Division I program, but to also be a leader for your group? Of course, you were alternate captain in your junior year, captain in your senior season. So
Yeah, it was an absolute privilege. Such a historic organization. The building we got to play out of the Alfond. Alfond Arena is such a special place to play. Great fan base there. And yeah, no, I took great pride in being a part of that. And we had a few great teams there, and yeah, that was such an incredible experience. I kind of committed there at a young age, probably somewhat unknowing of what I was getting myself into, and it really couldn't have worked out better. Great people, really just an unbelievable place to play college hockey. So nothing but good things to say about my time there.
and on that note, we'll get to our first fan question of the episode. Chase from Facebook, he asks, "Why was your nickname in college the Terminator?" I was looking forward to this one.
I think that's made up.
That's made up
Yeah,
question.
no one was calling me that. That's for sure.
I love it. I
That's
love it.
that's the beauty of playing at home. I've got some good friends here now to troll me on the internet, so it's good.
Absolutely. I think we have a couple more questions down the line nature, but back onto the hockey. So following your time as a Black Bear at the University of Maine, you jumped straight in to the AHL with the Rockford Ice Hogs. 8 points in 19 games. What was that transition like for you to go straight into the pro game? Of course, one league away from the NHL. And why do you think you were able to adjust so well?
Yeah, it was a great experience. It was the year kind of following COVID, so it was sort of a weird bridge season. But it was a great experience. It was definitely an adjustment. Like the difference between college hockey and the American League is a pretty big jump. There's just guys are so good at taking away time and space and just making the right play. So um, I think there was definitely an adjustment period. I think for my game personally, I think one of the strengths of my game is the way I think the game and kind of just hockey IQ. So I think that kind of benefited me in my first year when maybe I was lacking in some other areas. But it was a great experience, and obviously I'd still love to get back to the American League at some point. But yeah, it was a good adjustment, and especially coming off of college, there was sort of the long gap there because of COVID. So thrown into it pretty quick there with kind of a short season, and the training camp was only a few days. So it was kind of wild, but it was cool.
Awesome. And you touched on how, your time in the American Hockey League helped to develop your game. For Gladiators fans who may not know, how would you describe your game and how you play?
I think probably at my core, I'm a playmaker. I like to make plays. I think I see the ice pretty well. Um, but I definitely take pride in playing both ends of the ice. I like to penalty kill. I like to get in on the forecheck, and mix it up a little bit. But I think primarily over the course of my career, I've probably been known more as a playmaker.
Awesome. So we've talked about your career collegiately as a pro in the American Hockey League. Then you went overseas to Slovakia. What was behind that decision, and how did playing over there help enhance your game at all?
Yeah, it was sort of a last second thing. I actually thought I was originally going back to Rockford. And then just with some of the acquisitions that the Blackhawks had made, it kind of trickled down and all of a sudden it kind of didn't work out. So kind of the deal in Slovakia came up, and it seemed like a good fit. So yeah, I went over there for the season and played there, and a really unique experience, I think, especially for someone who's just coming out of college. Not too many people get to go live over in Europe, and kind of experience a different culture. So the hockey is fantastic over there. Cool fan bases there too. Like just the style of I don't know. I guess the atmospheres of the games is more of like a soccer style that you see in Europe. So people are kind of just up cheering the whole time. So something really cool to experience. Glad I got to do it. Got to travel a lot while I was there. Yeah, it was unique. It was cool.
So we touched on your time at the University of Maine, of course, with the Maine Mariners in Rockford, and then in Slovakia. Now you get to combine playing pro hockey and being at home. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, but can you go in a little bit more depth, just how cool it is for your hockey career to kind of come full circle and to be, part of the Glads now?
Yeah, for sure. It's cool in a whole lot of different ways. Obviously, it's great to be close to family, and especially being from Atlanta, I've got a lot of buddies around here that they know I play hockey. They know it's what I do for a living, but it's they've never really seen it just because I'm never around here. So it'll be cool for a lot of good buddies to be able to come to games and kind of experience it. And with my family too, it's probably Gas South Arena is maybe 45 minutes from where they're at. So that was a thing I was really excited about, just the fact that they'd be able to come to games, and it's pretty convenient for them. And then obviously outside of that, just living at home, I get to kind of live more of a normal life outside of hockey. I think a lot of times when you're playing somewhere, it's kind of foreign to you. You don't know too many people. There's sort of a gap between what you're doing and kind of a life outside of that. So I get to have that here, and which is really cool. And have a few buddies on the Glads that I already know. So yeah, it's really cool, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to go to some fan questions, and the first one I got comes from Janine, and she says, "Are there any players currently on the Gladiators roster that you're excited playing with?" So, who are they?
Yeah. Zach Yoder is a good buddy of mine. I actually played with him in juniors prior to going to the University of Maine. So, and he's actually another Atlanta native. Funny enough, he's a few years older than me, so I didn't know him until I played juniors with him. But he's a good buddy of mine now. So, looking forward to playing with him. And I know there's some other lineup things that are being worked on right now. Obviously, it's the summer, and a lot of things are up in the air. But I think there's potentially a few other players too, that I know pretty well that could end up on the roster. So it's exciting to see how it all shake out. But I do know I got my buddy Zach Yoder on the team, so I'm looking forward to that.
Very exciting. Thank you for that. And now Noah on Instagram, he asks, "Do you have a go-to goal celebration?" And I don't want you to get up and show me, but
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do that. A go-to goal celebration? I don't think so. Yeah, I think I kind of just feel it out whenever it's there. It depends on the point of the game. Sometimes I'm quiet, sometimes I'm excited. Just depends.
for sure. Kermit on Facebook, he asks, "If you had to choose one, which NHL player's game do you think best matches yours?"
That's a good question.
Putting you on the spot.
Um, yeah, that's a tough one. I just have a problem answering this question. I don't want to pick someone like too good. People are gonna think I'm. I think maybe from a stylistic standpoint, maybe like he's a great player, but like maybe like a Jake Gensel. I don't know. Like I like to make plays and kind of um, hopefully have somewhat of a knack for the net. I don't know. That's a tough question to answer. I like to get in on the forecheck. I like to penalty kill. There's a lot of players in the NHL that I look up to in sort of various parts of the game and what they can do. But I don't know. I have a hard time holding it down to one player.
Well, even as a Rangers fan, Jake Gensel is one of my favorite players. So
There we go. I
that's a
picked
good
right then.
choice. And last question from the fans, Ryan asks, "What are your on ice goals this season, just personally for you?"
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming off a year, I think, where I had some good success in the ECHL. and yeah, I mean, I expect to come in and looked out to be a guy who's going to put the puck in the back of the net and make plays. So, um, kind of keep that train going. I'm talking with some of the players who are signed, talking with Nezzy, kind of already talking sort of strategic things. But it's probably something I need to think a little more about. But obviously, any team you come to, you want to be a piece to the puzzle that helps them win. So I think a big part of that's going to be being on the score sheet offensively for us. But obviously, there's other parts of the game too. So I'm not looking at numbers as much as I am sort of just overall approach to the game and kind of the energy and impact I can bring to the ice.
You played against the Gladiators 3 times last season, twice in Maine and once at Gas South Arena. Just what was that like? Just of course being on the other side, playing against them. Were they a tough team to play against last year? What was memorable and stood out?
Yeah, it was. I think I played against them twice. The first time was sort of a funny time. I just gotten sent down from the American League the day of,
Okay.
so I like drove up and hopped on the ice like 15 minutes before the game started. But yeah, I remember especially in Atlanta, that was more of like a normal game, and they were fast up and down the ice and kind of played with pace. So I think there'll be some differences with Nezzy kind of taking over the reins and kind of implementing his own style. I know Nezzy was a super skilled player when he played, and has a just a great mind for the game, sees the ice really well, and I'm sure that'll translate to coaching. So it'll be exciting to kind of see sort of the systematic stuff that he implements, and I feel like it'll be, a fun system to play for, as a guy who likes to play offense.
Awesome. And I got one final non-hockey question for you.
All right.
It's a fun one. I noticed that you're a singer-songwriter. Can you
Yeah.
tell our fans a little bit more about that, where they can find your work and why that's such a huge passion for you?
Yeah. Outside of hockey, that's pretty much all I love to do is play music. I've been fortunate to have a bunch of buddies around here in the Atlanta area, growing up that were super, super talented musicians. So, got into the engineering side of things. Love to write, and record my own stuff. And so, yeah, I've been working on, an album here for a bit too long, but, should be wrapped up here by hopefully by the start of training camp and release that. And once I do, I'll pass that along to you and can share it with whoever is interested. So something I love to do. Love to sit around, pick up a guitar, and play songs, and it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, Mitch Fossier, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Atlanta Gladiators podcast. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.